Peace to the gods, shout out to the goddesses. I go by Naafie, Bay, the hip hop magi, formerly known as Nate Jolly for those of you who know me. I'm making this video talking about the splitting of worlds. The splitting of worlds. Now, I know that sounds kind of like otherworldly, and the reality is it kind of is, but I'm here to kind of talk about that and simplify it just a little bit, because I feel like I'm not the first one to talk about this, but I wanted to emphasize this specifically on my platform, just because I think that we're reaching that point more and more as we continue to grow, right? So when I say splitting of worlds, I mean, the mentally people are living two different realities, right? There's kind of two major realities that are encompassing this totality of the one that we live in, right? We have the people who are more acclimated to the technological aspects, right? So you have people that are buying into the metaverse. You have people that are super duper into the NFTs and the Ethereums and all of that, and basing their reality solely on the digital space. And then you have those kind of on the opposite side, pretty much dictating their reality as far as real life, you know what I'm saying? And this speaks to a deeper issue, bigger than just, living real life versus living in the technology world, right? This is really about those who like the comfort of someone else controlling their life versus those who want to control their own life. That's ultimately the splitting of the worlds, right? And, at the time I'm recording this video, Elon Musk is pretty much trying to buy up Twitter. And for those who don't really understand what that means, basically the technological space is all about your data. That's ultimately what it is. Even when you talk about Ethereum and Bitcoin and the NFT space and all of that is really just about having a secure what's the word I'm looking for? Having a secure means to control the data, right? So, example for the NFT space, right? The big thing about NFTs is that the data of the ownership, right, is being recorded on the blockchain. For something like advertising companies like Twitter or the YouTube ads and all of those things, right? The importance of their platform is the amount of users that will be able to witness certain advertisements, i.e. that data is pretty much the buying power, people's eyes, attention, awareness, right? So that's pretty much what all of this, the tech wars, I'll call them. That's pretty much what the tech wars is about. It's who has control of people's data, right? And then what are they using that data for? Those are the two questions that you should ask yourself as we get further and further into this technological world, right? Or if you're, keeping up with how technology's moving, right? Who controls the data and what are they doing with it? Always remember them two questions. Who controls the data and what are they doing with it, right? Now, on the flip side of that, you have beings who, overstand the power of Earth's technology, right? That's your crystals, that's knowing how to grow food, that's, the land itself, the inner technology, right? Being in tune with oneself. And those who have gotten to those levels, that really understand, know that technology over here, the Ethereums and the Elon Musk and all them guys, those are really just reflections of what is going on in here, right? The technology you see over there, right? The technology you see these guys coming up with are only mimics and images of what already goes on within you, and they're trying to copy it Why? So that they can control you. It's that simple, you know? So again, this is where we're kind of seeing that split, where people who are comfortable with having someone, having that set schedule, having that box, whatever that box looks like, whether that's a work box or whatever it is, people being comfortable in that versus people who like the freedom of being able to choose when to have certain experiences. And just looking at the metaverse and how it operates, especially being someone who loves video games, right? You got to ask yourself, man, like, these metaverse spaces, and with them having the Neuralink, right? All of these spaces, right, essentially are trying to mimic reality, right? And the whole appeal is you get to do whatever you want. But the kind of plot twist to that is you're not doing it for real. You're being tricked into thinking it's real. And even still, you're in the confines of their space, as much as we want to have a space in the metaverse and have our own blockchains and all of this, like, or not even have our own blockchains, because that's another topic. But even if we want to corner the market, as they like to say, right? Corner the market in these places, you don't own it. If you don't own it, you have no real control over it, right? Ownership is important, right? Even for artists, owning your music is important. You can drop the music on the platform, right? Or you can drop a music with a label, but if you don't own the label, then you have no control over where that goes and what they do with it. So even though, you may be enjoying yourself in the metaverse or whatever, right? Do you have control of that platform? They say you can do whatever you want, but can you really? So that's just something that I kind of want to pose to the people out there that's involved in that space is they have your data, right? So who has the data, and then what are they using it for? And then again, do you have a real control over that platform? Yeah, you can have control over yourself, and that's fine. And if you're in that space with full control of yourself, with full sovereignty of yourself, then do you. But the majority, as we like to say, the 85%, most of them may not, right? So you got to ask yourself, even if you have control over yourself, is that your platform, right? So are you able to do the same things on your platform, right? So this is really where we get the split, of people being more in tune and in harmony with what nature is offering, which there is a way to be in harmony with nature and still use technology, versus buying into what these guys are selling you, which ultimately is your control. Like, they're really trying to have your consciousness on a chip, They're trying, they're they stealing souls, fam. It sounds kind of otherworldly, but that's what they're doing, right? That, experience is the best teacher. But if all your experiences are on a device and you don't get to use the physical body that you were born here with, then they have your consciousness now, let alone if your memories and all the things, like your feelings and inflections and all of that, are now recorded on these devices. You got to ponder about these things. For those who are willing to. If you're not willing to, that's on you, fam. Like, live your life. For someone like me, I definitely wonder about the intentions behind these technologies. I definitely wonder about that, and I also wonder about people who are pushing you to go to these technologies, right? Because even if, they can so-called control that space, right? Even if they have their own, I'm not even gonna say control the space, excuse me. Even if they have their own section of that space, of the metaverse, right? Do they control that? Like, did they build the Oculus? Right? Things like that. Think about it in terms of having your own label versus signing to a label, right? Yeah, you can do whatever you want on the signed label and they fund you and all of this, but you don't have the same level of control of your intellectual property and things of that nature as someone who independently owns their label. So think about it in terms like that, right? Except now look at the scope of the realities, right? You can go into this metaverse and all of this and do what you want or have your own space, but you didn't create the original platform. Versus someone who is in reality or real life, right? And able to have their own land and control their own resources and things of that nature. And I mean, let's be honest, like, you still got to have land to build the metaverse anyway. So again, it's very interesting seeing people pull towards these platforms that they're building when an entire shift of power is taking place. It seems like escapism. Like, it feels like people are escaping the physical reality and going into the technological one because it's easier, right? So again, man, ask yourself, which is more important, their technology or your inner technology? Because we can do some amazing things as human beings, right? We can do amazing things. And you wouldn't be able to understand a quantum computer if a mind didn't build it, like, even with these companies looking to capitalize on people's data, right? Well, who's giving them the data? Where does the data come from? A human being, right? So which is more important, the data or the connection, right? I had this discussion about knowledge versus information. Knowledge is the connection between all things, right? Information is just Elon Musk bought Twitter. A tree's green, right? That's information. But knowledge is like the tree itself. Trees are green. So let me break that down a little bit. So information would be, okay, trees are green. All right. Knowledge would be, what is a tree? Right? And I know that's kind of sounds, but whatever. My point being, which is more important, the data or the people giving the data, right? Which is more important, the platform or just having the platform, or the people creating the platform, right? It's just like when you listen to an artist, or again, I'll go back to the label because I'm an artist, right? You get signed to their label, but who knows what their intentions are? Versus when you make your own label, you know your intentions, right? So, this is you can't really straddle the fence, right? Because one begets the other. Without physical reality, you don't have technology, because the technology is built from things that come from physical reality, right? So what side do you want to be on? Do you want to harbor on the artificial, or do you want to be in the official side, right? Do you want to be, on on dry land, or you want to be lost at sea, lost in the wet? So, I'm just here to kind of just break this down a little bit, the splitting of the worlds, and pose some questions to those who are either diving into this technology or haven't dived into it yet, or are kind of straddling the fence, whatever. Because I feel like once we understand the game, we can choose whether to play or not, right? What are these people's intentions with the metaverse? Have you ever asked yourself that? What are these people's intentions with Bitcoin and Ethereum? Their real intentions, not the one that they tell you just on the surface on media. Like, what are their real intentions? Ask yourself those questions. And I think that as you go deeper, you'll start to find answers. And that's for those who are willing to search. Asking you shall receive, before you ask it is given unto you, right? All these things are available. This is nothing new under the sun, right? There's nothing new under the sun. It's just about your willingness to go seek out the reasons for things. So that's it. That's all. I'm not going to hold y'all too long because I kind of keep it short and sweet. I don't like to bore you with the details. I like to get to the meat and potatoes. So I hope that helps someone out there understand what's really going on. And really just begin to ask these questions about these platforms, man, because ultimately, even in terms of business, it's always better to have your own platform, not build yours on someone else's. That's a Eurocentric thought. We built our own, right? We didn't build on top of somebody else's stuff. So I'm gonna let y'all marinate on that, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.